And just a quick update on that off-cycle election in Imo State. We understand that the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission met with stakeholders in Imo State to explore ways to ensure a safe and transparent electoral process ahead of the election scheduled for Saturday, the 11th of November. But pandemonium broke out at the venue of the stakeholders meeting as journalists were asked to step aside and cameras were turned off for deliberations to start. Right, I understand that our correspondent who's covering this election in Imo State, Agbebiy, is standing by to give us more updates on that. Bimbo, what more can you tell us about the political environment in Imo State and that stakeholders meeting that was held earlier?
Yes, Precious. The interactive session organized by the Independent National Electoral Commission in the state was one that started out as one that attempted to offer key stakeholders in the state the opportunity, the platform to meet minds with the electoral body and, of course, the security agencies, of course, with the sole aim, which is to map out better ways of conducting elections in the state. And then, of course, the chairman of the electoral body was represented by the National Commissioner, Professor Kenneth Ikeagu, who tried to review past elections in the state, saying they have learned vital lessons from past elections conducted in the state and that they are hoping or determined to improve on the processes and procedures of conducting elections in the state. Now, shortly after that keynote address was delivered, he requested that cameras be turned off. He asked that the media should turn off their cameras for deliberations to begin, and that was when we had this uproar in the hall. We had this fracas between different political parties, opposition parties, saying journalists must be allowed to do their jobs, cameras must be left on for them to capture what was going to go on. Meanwhile, we had the All Progressives Congress representatives of the All Progressives Congress who, of course, appeared satisfied with that decision. So that interruption took a while. The meeting couldn't go on, and then there were strong statements made. They almost went physical, and all efforts made by the National Commissioner to restore calm to the meeting proved abortive. After a while, of course, they were able to prevail on him, and he said the commission had nothing to hide, that he only took that decision just to allow people to feel at home, comfortable, to talk about whatever it is, the issues are that are meant to be deliberated on. So the meeting went on, and startling revelations began to emerge when questions were thrown at the National Commissioner. We had issues of security, being talked about. Some of the representatives of the opposition parties kept on talking about the electoral violence that happened in the last election that was conducted in the country, where we had electoral violence happening in some border areas of Imo State, places like Olu, also Mbise and some other places like that where electoral violence took place and election results were counted. We also had a case where a participant talked about cases where we had polling units in people's homes and where voters were prevented, from coming or gaining access into those places to vote, yet election results, of course, emerged from those places. So we had startling revelations, different cases raised and all of that. We had stakeholders talking tough, making demands, asking INEC, what it intends to do differently this time to ensure that credible election happen in the state. They kept on saying that the people of Imo State are scared to go out to vote as much as they would want to go out to exercise their franchise. A lot of them are talking about voter intimidation. They do not know what is going to happen this time. A lot were said regarding last election that happened in the state. And it got to a point, the chairman of the Labour Party, Barrister
how the implication of all of this on this election on Saturday. But we have our reporters on ground. You're there, others are there. We'll continue to get feedback from you. Thank you for that update. A correspondent there in Imo State, Agbebiy.